Barnaby Rudge. Chapter 1. In the year 1775 there stood upon the borders of Epping Forest, at a distance of about 12 miles from London, measuring from the Standard in Cornhill, or rather from the spot on or near to which the Standard used to be in the days of yore, a house of public entertainment called the Maypole, which fact was demonstrated to all such travellers as could neither read nor write, and at that time a vast number both of travellers and stay-at-homes were in this condition, by the emblem reared on the roadside over against the house, which if not of those goodly proportions that maples were wont to present in olden times, was a fair young ash, 30 feet in height, and straight as any arrow that ever English yeoman drew. The first ray of light, which illumines the gloom and converts into a dazzling brilliancy, that obscurity in which the earlier history of the public career of the immortal Pickwick would appear to be involved, is derived from the perusal of the following entry in the Transactions of the Pickwick Club, which the editor of these papers feels the highest pleasure in laying before his readers, as a proof of the careful attention, indefatigable assiduity, and nice discrimination with which his search among the multifarious documents confided to him has been conducted. The Mystery of Edwin Drood, Chapter 1. The Dawn. An ancient English cathedral tower? How can the ancient English cathedral tower be here? The well-known massive grey square tower of its old cathedral? How can that be here? There is no spike of rusty iron in the air between the eye and it from any point of the real prospect. What is the spike that intervenes? And who has set it up? Maybe it is set up by the Sultan's order for the impaling of a horde of Turkish robbers, one by one. It is so, for cymbals clash, and the Sultan goes by to his palace in a long procession. 10,000 scimitars flash in the sunlight, and thrice 10,000 dancing girls through flowers. Then follow white elephants, caparisoned in countless gorgeous colors, and infinite in number and attendance. Still the cathedral tower rises in the background, where it cannot be, and still no writhing figure on the grim spike. Stay, is the spike so low a thing as the rusty spike on the top of a post of an old bedstead that has tumbled all awry? Some vague period of drowsy laughter must be devoted to the consideration of this possibility. Nicholas Nickleby, Chapter 1, introduces all the rest. There once lived, in a sequestered part of the county of Devonshire, one Mr. Godfrey Nickleby, a worthy gentleman, who, taking into his head rather late in life that he must get married, and not being young enough or rich enough to aspire to the hand of a lady of fortune, had wedded an old flame out of mere attachment, who in her turn had taken him for the same reason. Thus two people who cannot afford to play cards for money sometimes sit down to a quiet game for love. Martin Chuzzlewit, Chapter 1, Introductory. Concerning the pedigree of the Chuzzlewit family, as no lady or gentleman with any claims to polite breeding can possibly sympathize with the Chuzzlewit family without being first assured of the extreme antiquity of the race, it is a great satisfaction to know that it is undoubtedly descended in a direct line from Adam and Eve, and was, in the very earliest times, closely connected with the agricultural interest. If it should ever be urged by grudging and malicious persons that a Chuzzlewit in any period of the family history displayed an overweening amount of family pride, surely the weakness will be considered not only pardonable but laudable, when the immense superiority of the house to the rest of mankind, in respect of this its ancient origin, is taken into account. It is remarkable that there was in the oldest family of which we have any record a murderer and a vagabond, so we never fail to meet in the records of all old families with innumerable repetitions of the same phase of character. Indeed, it may be laid down as a general principle that the more extended the ancestry, the greater the amount of violence and vagabondism. For in ancient days, those two amusements combining a wholesome excitement with a promising means of repairing shattered fortunes, were at once the ennobling pursuit and the healthful recreation of the quality of this land. Dombey and Son. Chapter 1. Dombey sat in the corner of the darkened room in the great armchair by the bedside, and Son lay tucked up warm in a little basket bedstead, carefully disposed on a low settee immediately in front of the fire and close to it, as if his constitution were analogous to that of a muffin, and it was essential to toast him brown while he was very new. Dombey was about 8 and 40 years of age, Son about 8 and 40 minutes. Dombey was rather bald, rather red, and though a handsome, well-made man, too stern and pompous in appearance to be prepossessing. Son was very bold and very red, and though, of course, an undeniably fine infant, somewhat crushed and spotty in his general effect, as yet, on the brow of Dombey, time and his brother Care had set some marks, as on a tree that was to come down in good time. Remorseless twins they were for striding through their human forests, notching as they go, while the countenance of Son was crossed with 1,000 little creases, which the same deceitful time would take delight in smoothing out and wearing away, with the flat part of his scythe as a preparation of the surface for his deeper operations. Oliver Twist, Chapter 1, treats of the place where Oliver Twist was born and of the circumstances attending his birth. Among other public buildings in a certain town, which for many reasons it will be prudent to refrain from mentioning, and to which I will assign no fictitious name, there is one anciently common to most towns, great or small, to wit, a workhouse, and in this workhouse was born, on a day and date which I need not trouble myself to repeat, inasmuch as it can be of no possible consequence to the reader, in this stage of the business at all events, the item of mortality whose name is prefixed to the head of this chapter. For a long time after it was ushered into this world of sorrow and trouble by the parish surgeon, it remained a matter of considerable doubt whether the child would survive to bear any name at all, in which case it is somewhat more than probable that these memoirs would never have appeared, or if they had, that being comprised within a couple of pages, they would have possessed the inestimable merit of being the most concise and faithful specimen of biography extant in the literature of any age or country.